conversations would be. But before we get started with our next special guest, I want to make sure that I shout out my sponsors. One, it is B. Anderson Collection. Live your life in color. Today's color that I have on is called Confident. They are $10. So make sure that you go to brandyddanderson.com to go ahead and grab you one. I want to shout out two people y'all already know. My girl Gracie, who is always make sure that my nails are looking right, because y'all know I use my hands to talk. That's what I do. And then also I want to shout out my girl Akia Hill, who is the owner of Hair from Scratch. She is located in DeSoto, Texas. I don't have on my hair today, but honey, when I do, y'all know I make sure she's making sure that my hair is looking right and looking tight. Okay, we got that all out of the way. Let's get into this. I have my special guest here, Lynda Carmouche. She is an amazing woman. She has been a part of a speaker group that I am a part of, and we have gotten to know each other that way. But let me tell y'all something. This is a powerhouse woman. This is not just any woman, okay? Now, she is helping many women, wives, and mothers, and just going through their journey and uncovering the elephant in the room. But before we talk about the elephant in the room, I want Lynda to introduce herself and to let us know who she is and how is she supporting women, moms, and wives.
I was getting a little nervous there for a moment. I was thinking, who's the special guest? I can't wait to meet her.
It is you. You are her.
It
She
is
is
me.
she
It
is
is
she.
me.
Yes.
I am Lynda Carmouche, and a lot of people know me because I am a psychotherapist. But I like to say that I'm just a good old girl, good old country girl who God has given an opportunity to grow up, go to school, learn some tools, and then reach back and help hurting people
Mm.
live their best life. I do it as a speaker, as a trainer, and as a therapist. And that's who I am in a nutshell.
That is amazing. So let's talk about all the amazing things that you do, but through your social media and platforms, I noticed that your logo had an elephant in it. So, what is this elephant that is identified and aligned to your business?
So, no matter what I do, if I'm speaking, if I'm doing therapy, if I am writing because I am an author, everything I do is focused on helping individuals to address the elephant in the room. And we hear that slogan all the time, but I really want to break it down to help people understand what I mean by it. An elephant in the room is absolutely anything that you have experienced in life that has caused you hurt and pain, but it's caused you to get stuck. You've
Mm.
stopped living, you've stopped growing in that area. And sometimes it happens when we're little girls, little boys, and we push it to the back and we think that we got over it, but we really didn't. And it impacts our lives today. It's that secret that you don't want anybody to find out about. It's that thing that you think about, but you don't dare mention it. It's the thing that keeps whispering in your ear that because of this, you're not good enough. That's what the elephant in the room looks like. And so, my goal is to help people to stop hiding the elephant and to stand up to it face to face and address it. Because as long as we leave it in the dark, it is going to continue to hurt us.
So how that's amazing. I love what you're doing because there are, I'm not gonna lie, there's some secrets that I'm holding on to, and I'm telling myself I'm taking them to the grave. But for the ones that women, moms, wives come to you and they're ready to uncover that, how are you having those conversations for them to deal with that?
You know what's interesting, Brandy? Sometimes that elephant has been in the room so long
Mm,
that we don't even identify it as an elephant anymore because we build our lives around it.
mm,
So, a part of my journey is really helping people to just pause and say, let's take off our wigs, let's take off our makeup, let's take off the lashes, and let's get down to business. And let's be real with ourselves. Let's look in the mirror and say, why is it I feel the way I feel? What is going on inside of me? Sometimes it's not that my husband is a bad man. Sometimes it's not that my children are not listening to me. Sometimes I've set my expectations based on past pain that I've not dealt with. And now I'm expecting my children to live up to something that's really not theirs to live up to.
oh, child, listen.
That's an elephant in the room.
Mm,
And we drag these elephants around from relationship to relationship. And I don't mean just man woman relationship, I mean any relationship, friendship, workship, partnerships, whatever kind of ship you want it to be.
yeah.
We're wondering why we're not progressing in those areas. And a lot of the times it's that elephant that we got to deal with. I can't help you learn to manage your anger if
Mhm.
we don't get to the root of why the anger is there. And sometimes we're calling it anger and it's not anger at all. It's hurt, it's
Mm,
pain. But it's easier to say that I'm angry than it is to say that I'm hurt. Because if I say that I'm hurt, I have to be vulnerable.
mm. This reminds me of a TikTok or something I was watching, and and there was a therapist who was talking about that. Actually, no, it wasn't a therapist. It was a young lady going back over her conversation with her therapist. You saying we identified it as anger, and she brought up the fact that her therapist helped her break it down to say that's how you identify it. It really
Yes.
isn't anger.
Yes.
It was something else. And I was
Yes.
just, ah,
Yes.
so how are you, Lynda? So how are you helping women identify if it's really anger or if it's sadness?
Well, it depends on my role with that person. You know, if they're in therapy with me, then we got to get raw and we got to get real. Sometimes it's scary to go to that place, especially because of what it reminds me of. So, one of the things that we do is we identify early on that I'm on your team. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm not
Mm,
going to bash you because the reality is we all have elephants. We have all had elephants.
period.
Having the elephant is not the issue. It's when you don't address the elephant that's the issue because the elephant grows. So I want you to think about this concept. We often look at womanhood, wifehood, and motherhood, and we separate them, but they're
Yeah.
actually interconnected and they all stem from the foundation of the woman. So if you don't get the womanhood right,
Mm,
it's going to be very challenging to get the motherhood and the wifehood right.
yeah.
They're all interconnected. And so, a lot of the times when we look at things that we've been through or experienced, whether it was our fault or somebody else's fault, we look at it and we call it good or bad.
Mhm.
I take good or bad off the table completely when I work with people. I
Mm.
want to look at healthy and unhealthy
What's the
because
difference?
because oftentimes good or bad says if I'm not good at this,
Mhm.
I blame me.
Oh. Mm, mm,
Perhaps I'm not good because there's a pain point that stands between me getting better and what I'm doing right now. So
mm.
watch this. If I wasn't raised in a family that nurtured children, and I grow up, I'm going to do the best I can to nurture mine. But do I really know what nurturing looks like?
Child, no.
Okay. So do I call you a bad parent?
No.
No, you're not a bad parent. But some of the things you're doing might be unhealthy
Mm,
in your parenting. That's a totally different concept. And until we understand that we're not bad people, but some of the things we're doing, it's unhealthy for us and the people we love, then and only then can we change the course. I want to show you something
okay.
to really paint the picture and make it plain.
Okay.
If you have a little girl who grew up
Hmm.
in a house, and in this house, she didn't have a father, and her mother worked all the time and didn't have time for her, she grows up with a void. She gets pregnant and has children in her early 20s. She does the best she can to be the mother that she can be, but she has missed so much of the love and the nurturing that she needed, that now she's pouring from an empty cup.
Mm,
And then she gets married in
mm.
her mid 20s. If your cup is empty in that area at 20, in your early 20s, what is it going to be in your mid to late 20s? If you don't have enough to pass out to the children, will you have enough to give to the spouse?
Mm.
It doesn't make her a bad person,
Right.
but because she's pouring from an empty cup, some of the things she's going to do will be unhealthy. We have to heal the little girl. Can the little girl in front of me be nurtured if I don't nurture the little girl inside of me?
So that, you bring up, so, I don't want to say that it's colloquial, but we're
Okay.
using the language a lot. We're saying heal the childhood trauma, heal the little girl inside of you. What does that mean?
What it means is whatever experiences we have had in our foundational years, if we take them and we cover them up and you don't heal them, you don't give them breath. Healing is not always taking it and discarding it, because there are lessons in that pain. There is power in that pain. But if you don't deal with it, your narrative about it can be something that it doesn't have to be. How you saw mom, who worked all the time, at 10 and 15 when you needed her, is not how you see her at 40 when you are now a parent and realize that she had to work. And if she didn't work, you wouldn't have had a house, you wouldn't have had food.
Mhm.
But if you don't ever go back and deal with that, you get to live, you get to choose and make decisions from that place of pain.
Do you think, or do you believe that people, but I'm going to specifically talk about women, they are making unconscious decisions based off of the pain?
110%. Okay, 150%. Watch this. Watch this. We're talking about motherhood, wifehood, womanhood, right?
Yeah.
This woman grows up and she makes the decision that I saw mama stay with my daddy, and daddy was abusive.
Child, listen. Now listen. Now listen. Now you about to
Wait
take
a
us on the
minute,
deep
wait a
end.
minute, wait a
But
minute.
go ahead and take us there.
But what I will not do
Yeah. Yeah.
is ever stay with somebody if they rub me the wrong way. Because
Mm,
we're not going to get to the abusive part because I don't ever want to become mom.
mm.
Well, now I'm hopping out of a relationship if anything resembles an argument. Because what I don't need is but you're going, watch this. I didn't ever have, mama never bought me anything I wanted as a girl. Now I'm going to buy my children everything they want. They're never gonna want anything, want anything. I'm parenting my children based on what my mom didn't buy the little girl.
Child, listen. Am I in a therapy session? Like, I gotta get up out of here.
But if you stop and you say, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
Mom didn't buy because mom didn't have.
Yeah.
Or mom didn't buy because mom was broken. And I don't
Yeah.
mean broken in the sense that we need to fix, because we don't fix people. People
Mm-hmm.
heal.
Yeah.
But when we step back and look at the bigger picture,
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
mom didn't do because mom had 4 children by the age of 22 and she was
Listen.
a high school dropout
Listen.
and she was trying her best. We have to be, when you heal that little girl, it doesn't mean you don't feel the pain. It doesn't mean you didn't feel abandoned. It doesn't mean that you don't get to feel what you felt. But what
Mm-hmm.
it does mean is I get to step back and see the bigger picture
Yeah.
and not just my one point of view. There are so many women and men, if we got to be honest about it,
Yeah.
who are still blaming mama and daddy.
Child, listen, listen,
You understand what I'm
listen.
saying? Well, mama didn't do it. Mama
Mhm,
wasn't there. You
mhm,
50. At some point, we have to say it happened. We've
mhm.
all had our own journeys. I've had mine. You have yours.
Yeah,
Everybody has something they've had to deal with. Nobody escapes.
yeah,
That's our reality.
yeah.
What are you going to do with your pain?
That, you know what, Linda, I'm glad you're bringing this up. And remember, I told you early on, I said, this show that God has given me is really a platform for healing for me, because you're speaking on a lot of different things that I'm looking at like, well, dang, I'm 40 and I'm still holding my parents hostage and responsible for some of the things that I'm dealing with today.
Mm-hmm.
And it's painful.
Yes.
It's very hurtful, because I also am conflicted with, they did the best that they could with what the tools that they were
They
provided.
had.
And I'm now getting to a stage in an age where I'm hearing their story and be like, is that where that stuff come from?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I am slow, and it's been a process. I am not going to lie. And this is why it's bold conversations. This is me also being vulnerable to, and no shade to my parents, but I'm realized there's a slow process of me forgiving and just releasing and saying, y'all did what you could. I see, it's almost to your point, like, there's no good and bad. There's this
No.
unhealthy, and it's healthy and unhealthy, and realizing that they may not have had the support that I have today to be
Yes.
able to unlearn unhealthy
Mm-hmm.
things.
It's so
Um,
true. It's so true because it was a different era, but we oftentimes hold other people at a standard that we don't hold ourselves.
oh, girl.
We want to hold our parents prisoners as
Mhm,
prisoners for what
mhm.
they did or didn't do, but we want our children to forgive us.
Gir-
Our children need to understand I did the best that I could with what I
Girl,
had. Well, our parents may not be verbal in that area.
uh,
I am very verbal compared to both of my parents. I have even asked them questions
yeah,
and they're like, and there are some times that we won't get the answers.
yeah, yeah,
But that doesn't mean I don't get to heal.
right.
Okay, my healing is in my hands
Yeah,
because everyone that I love, be it my husband or my children,
yeah,
I need them to get the best of me. And if I'm allowing this unforgiveness,
Oh
this
my God.
past pain that does not serve me well to take up space, I'm taking away from them.
Mm,
What I will not do is allow the past that was very painful
wow.
to take my presence hostage.
That I will not allow my
I will
past
not.
pain
I will not.
to
Because
take
I
my
get to control
presence
it. Yes, I get
hostage.
to walk out my healing.
Yeah.
And I deserve to
Yeah.
feel what it feels like to be free
Yeah.
of that. I got to
Mm,
learn from it.
yeah.
I'm going to tell you something else. Sometimes what we believed in our earlier years is not what we believe now.
Mm-hmm.
There were many years that I thought, and I felt rejected. My dad, my biological father, I met him at 21.
Mm.
He lived 3 miles from where I grew up.
Girl, shut up.
And the truth is, even after I met him,
Yeah.
our relationship was not what I would have desired it to be. What I called rejection and abandonment, I now understand was God's protection for me. Because there are some things, I don't think he would have ever done anything to hurt me, but there is a gifting and an anointing on my life. And there
Mhm.
are things that people will say or do that can bring pain to you. Even now, and no shade to my dad. My dad said something to me a couple of years ago that was very hurtful. He said, "There is nothing black that I want but a Cadillac."
Wow.
And I said, "What?" He said, I don't love dark women."
Wow.
And I said, "You gave me my color."
Right.
It came straight from you. We talking about being vulnerable and open and dealing with the elephant in the room. Let's go
Yeah.
ahead and go there, baby.
Yeah.
Your father, who passed down your complexion, is now looking at you as an adult woman saying, he says, "Oh, you're my daughter." That's hurtful. I can handle it now, but
Yeah.
had he planted that seed as a girl,
Early on.
that's just
Child.
one thing. But it's an example for us to see sometimes God is protecting us.
Mm-hmm.
Who God needed Lynda the woman to be,
Yeah.
Lynda the warrior.
Yeah.
There were some things he didn't want me to have to deal with. So I was protected. So now I don't see it as abandonment. I see it as being protected so that I can journey and not have to deal with some things and not have to get over some stuff so that I can move on and do what it is God is calling me to do.
There is just so much to unpack. I think about, I take your story and I mirror myself and say, oh my gosh, I am angry at the fact of what I didn't get, but not reframing to say, what was God protecting me from that I didn't get?
You better come on with it.
I
You better come
mean,
on. Yeah.
because when I think about, I all in no shade to my parents, disclaimer. But when I think about my relationship with my mother, and when I think about some things that I felt like I didn't get, but also reframing and saying, just thinking about what she didn't get, how much God was protecting me from what could have been damaging
Yes. Yes.
because of the fact that she didn't get something
Mhm.
that she wouldn't be able to provide me. But I'm thinking about it in a way of, it is abandonment. You didn't love me. You didn't give me. I remember as a little girl when I got, I think I can't remember when it was, but I remember I used to have this image of the thing that I longed for. Is I have really long hair. I keep chopping it off, but I remember having the fantasy or romanticizing my mom talking to me and combing and brushing my hair, sitting in front of a vanity. I didn't know what it was called at the time,
Mhm.
but sitting in front of a vanity and just seeing her giving me things to that were wisdom and wise, just things that I would think about this mom doing. But when I think about it, that was me romanticizing what I desired. But I don't know at that time that she could have given that to
Mhm.
me.
Which is not in and of itself a bad thing. But I want to show you something with that point. Pain will always produce something.
Hmm.
Always. We have to decide what is it going to produce,
Yeah.
because it can produce more pain. It can produce anger, frustration, it can produce resentment, but it can also produce good things. Because my mom wasn't able to do it, look at how beautiful it is that I can now do it for my daughters. Some people will put a demand on themselves and say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this because my mama didn't do it. You have to shape that thing and put it in perspective and make it beautiful. I'm not saying act as if it didn't happen, act as if the pain wasn't there. It hasn't impacted you. It did.
Right.
It did impact me. I can say dad wasn't there, but I can also say that mama provided everything I needed.
Hmm.
I can say that at a certain point in my life, God put men in the church that loved on me like a daddy.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
God didn't allow me to go without having what I needed. I didn't get it in the form that I thought I should have gotten it or
Yeah.
when I thought I should have gotten it. But
Yeah.
that's just like God. It's in his timing,
Hmm.
and it's in the way that he decides to give it to us. It's up to me to accept the blessing.
Yeah.
I don't get to tell God how to package it.
Yeah.
I just got to receive it and then grow from it. Because of the pain that I went through, I can now help other people and say, you're going to be all right.
Yeah.
We don't have to testify and say, I got daddy issues. I don't have daddy issues.
Yeah.
I don't. I have had to walk through it and heal from it, but healing is a choice. But one thing that I want people to understand is whatever has happened to that woman will show up in that wife, and it will show up in that mama.
Hmm.
You have got to heal the woman. You have got to. We cannot desire more for our children in the space of healing and wholeness than we are willing to go after for ourselves. They learn from what we do, not what we say.
So thinking about that, there's this woman who is asking, I have children now. I'm married. I have this life. And through this, I recognize I have some work I need to do. How are you helping women to avoid the shame and the guilt that comes from starting this process and going through the process? and still feeling some shame, some hurt.
Yeah.
How are you helping women?
I level the playing field. I level the playing field. Just because I have the title and I'm facilitating and I'm leading the session, it doesn't make me better. Okay. It doesn't put me on a pedestal. We're all going through that. There's something that I have felt shame about. And if you catch me on the right day at the right time, there's something that I'm going to feel shame about that day. So, really trying to connect with them where they are. Everybody is in a different place, but really trying to understand woman to woman that we're all in this boat together, paddling upstream. And some days are great days, some days are not so great. But if you keep moving forward, putting one foot in front of the other, I promise you, you're going to make steps forward.
Mm-hmm.
We make this healing, mental health, emotional health, growing, managing pain. We make it this overwhelming process. Let's
Absolutely.
start somewhere. I don't really care where you start. You don't have to start with therapy. Therapy is not for everybody.
Yeah.
Therapy is not easy.
Child, talk about that.
Therapy takes you to places that
Oh,
oftentimes it gets worse before it gets better. And these are the things
listen.
that we're these are the things that we're not having conversations about. Another thing is if you decide to do therapy, you got to be ready. You got to be ready. Because let me tell you something, sis. If you're coming into the therapy room and you're only giving part of the truth,
Oh my gosh, girl.
all we get to do is work with the lie and help heal the lie, which still doesn't get you what you need.
Yeah.
So you got to get ready for therapy. Okay. You're not going to leave therapy and be happy all the time. You're
Uh,
going to be a mess. Your lash going to be hanging off. You know,
Woo!
this is real talk. Therapy is not for everybody, and therapy may not be for you in this season. The other part of it is, let's talk about this elephant in the room. Not every therapist is for you.
That part.
Okay. You have to know what it is you need. So I say when people call me and say, "Oh, Lynda, I want to work with you. I want to coach with you. I want to whatever with you. What do you need from me?" Because if you need me to fix you, I'm not Jesus. Okay. Therapists don't fix people, they walk with you. They help you to see some things that maybe you have not seen. They give you a perspective that maybe you've never thought about. They give you some tools to put in your toolbox, but they don't fix people. You have to know what you need because if you're calling me, and you may not know 100%, but you got to be going in that direction. Okay. If you call me and you're saying, "Oh, I need to come because my husband and I keep getting into an argument, and he says we're going to have to get a divorce if I don't go to therapy."
Yeah.
You're not even committed.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not going to work.
It's tied with a condition.
Exactly. If you're going to therapy and you're asking me, "So, how many sessions do you think I need to come to?" You're not ready because sometimes it might take a year. If I'm 49, if I've been doing this for 49 years, I can't tell you 3 sessions will fix it.
Yeah.
Because the things you talked about, the shame, the guilt, all of that has been fertilized over time. You're not going to have a conversation with someone and then it's done. Okay? So, you got to be able to know your therapist also. There are some people out here calling themselves therapists and they're not. Ask your therapist, what is your specialty? If you're going for couples therapy and they've never seen a couple,
Right.
that's not where you want to go.
Right.
If you got unresolved trauma, depression, you need to ask the questions, because not every therapist is going to be able to serve that need.
Yeah.
Okay. For my Christians, my faith believers, we need Jesus and we need therapists. It's okay to have both, but you cannot go and talk to sis at church who has no experience and think they're your therapist. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
For some of us, it's self care, taking time to stop taking care of everybody else and take care of me. So, therapy may not be your answer, it may be self care. And I don't mean self care going to get your nails done. That's good. But we need to unplug. Self care may be saying no,
Mm.
can't do it, not available, don't have time. So there is a litany of things that we can do to take care of ourselves. If I don't exercise, you gonna get, yeah, you're not gonna get Lynda the therapist.
That
So for
part.
me, a part of my treatment plan is making sure that I exercise at least 30 minutes a day, because it helps my emotional stability.
Yeah.
For some of the mamas and wives, it's getting up before everybody else in the house get up and having time to sit and have your coffee without anybody pulling at you, asking you to do for them.
Yeah.
For some, it's going out and being social with people outside of your husband and your children.
Yeah.
So there's a litany of things that we can do to take care of the woman. So, because when the woman is well, the mama is well and the wife is well.
Yeah. That's so true. I I'm glad that you expanded on self-care, because a lot of times self-care looks different for each individual.
Mhm.
There are times that we put the self-care of going to go get a massage, go get your hair done, go
Mhm.
get your nails done, that is the traditional sense or the frame for everybody,
Yes.
and it may not be.
Not.
It is because I can resonate with waking up before everybody else to sip my coffee. My coffee is therapeutic to me. My hot
Yes.
cup of coffee.
In my cute little
uh,
teacup. Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
therapeutic to me. It's almost like taking a deep breath, like, oh my gosh, I needed that. Like, I didn't know how
Yes.
much I needed that. I also have found myself, um, I recently found that I was at work and I sat in a conference on the floor. Now, people may think, ew, gross, Brandy, but
Mm-mm.
I needed to feel like almost like feeling the earth.
Mhm.
I needed to feel not a cushion of a chair, but just a hard floor and sit there. And I took like 3 deep breaths.
Mhm.
And for me, that was a form of me connecting with my inner self, but also connecting back to
Yes.
my creator
Mhm.
to be
It was
like,
what you needed.
and that's that we don't identify that, or we don't put enough of like identifying self-care. We identify self-care to a type of service, and not
Mhm.
to say
Mhm.
that it cannot be one. So hear me out, people, that I'm not saying that that's not a form of self-care, but that may not be a form of self-care for me.
Or for you that day. That's the other thing. It's almost like a toolbox. Okay. Today I may do a massage, but I'm not going to do a massage 5 days a week. I believe healthy self-care, you should have some every day. Not once a week, not once a month, because most wives and mamas are pouring out. They're pouring out. They're pouring out. They're pouring out. They're pouring out. You cannot keep pouring out without constantly pouring back into you. So you got to have a toolbox. Okay. You'd be amazed at how many women don't take lunch away from their desk at work.
Child, listen.
Okay. If you can't say amen, say ouch.
Ouch.
Okay. That's self care. You got to unplug, take your break, get away from that desk, and just take that 30 minutes to just be whatever it is you want to be for you without calling and making appointments, without making a to do list, without just eat. Listen to music.
Me.
Just be. You have to have a toolbox. I'm going to tell you another one. We take showers because we're in a hurry. Unplugging, putting it on your calendar to take a bath once a week and soak and just be is
Yeah.
important. So self care doesn't always mean you got to go spend money.
Right. Right.
Having fun, oftentimes we lose that as mamas and wives because we don't have time. Make time for fun. That's self care.
Yeah. I remember I was coaching with someone. This was recent, probably about a year ago, where it, you know what? It was my therapist. And she asked me, she said, Brandy, what do you do for fun? What's fun for you? She asked me, what is fun for you? And I paused for a moment and I went through my series of things. But to your point, that's self care too.
Mm-hmm.
I need an outlet to be expressive, to be innovative, to be creative,
Yes.
to allow my brain to not think
Mm-hmm.
about all the responsibilities that I have
Yes.
and
Yes.
and just enjoy the present moment.
Yes. Yes. And going to therapy can be a form of self care.
Mhm.
There are people that are not in crisis, they've healed, but they need a stable outlet that is unbiased, and they go to therapy to get it.
Wow.
And it's their self care. I have clients that will say, oh no, I need my time to come and dump.
Mm.
And that's okay. There are some things I may not want to talk to my girlfriend about
Wow.
or my husband. And that's okay. Your therapist should be a safe place for you to dump.
That is such a reframe of therapy because the narrative of going to go see a therapist is because you have an issue. You have
Yes.
a problem,
Yes.
and not to say that there isn't an issue, but right now you do not have the individuals where you feel comfortable to dump whatever it is that you want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So your therapist is that safe space for you.
Yes.
So that's where you get to dump. They're unbiased.
Mm-hmm.
They've gotten to know you a little bit, but they're unbiased to you and they allow you to expose,
Mm-hmm.
express, and to just let
Yes.
loose of things. I know in my therapy sessions, I cuss. I go all rogue, like whatever it is. I'm like, child, and but she teaches me, and I don't want nobody coming at me. Don't be
Don't
coming for
judge
me,
me. Don't judge
right?
Brandy.
Don't judge me. This is my own therapy session, but she allows me that space to say F bomb, all the different things. Like she just allows me to be
Mm-hmm.
expressive in a language that feels good, that allows that emotion to come
To
out
come
of
out. Mm-hmm.
me. And so I respect that. I honor that. Like, yes, girl, let me tell you what's going on. Bop, 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 and I'm
I'm
going,
gonna show you something that I think is it's going to help somebody. So mamas oftentimes want to be everything to their children. In the African American community, particularly, we don't embrace therapy as much as some of our sisters and brothers from other cultures. There was an African American mom many years ago who came to me and said, "My daughters are entering high school. I want to book you for the next 4 years." And I went, "Huh?"
Say what?
She said, "I want to book you for the next 4 years." And I can, as I look back, their family went through so much in that 4 year period. Somebody was in on my couch. If it wasn't the daughter, it was the mama.
Wow.
If it wasn't the mama, it was the family. If we weren't working on communication, we were working on relationships. And how wise of that mama to have the foresight to say high school is challenging. I can't be everything my girls need for them. As a single mom, I need help.
Yeah.
And when they started, they were not in crisis. Another picture I want to paint is I used to see children. I don't anymore. And
Like, put
disclaimer,
it out there. I just want to
I
let y'all
had a
know.
little girl about the age of 6
Mm.
who had some trauma. She came in and we did play therapy. And the mom came to pick her up at the door and she had toys everywhere. The session was phenomenal. She released all kinds of stuff. And the mom got to the door and said, "No, ma'am, we're not leaving until you pick those toys up." And I said, "Stop." Because I don't make children pick up what they release to the therapist. When you think about your therapist being a safe space for you, you should be able to take all of your garbage, dump it on the therapist's floor, and walk out without having to tidy it up, put it back in your purse, and go home with it.
Lynda, you bring up such a point. Wow. You, the thing that, let me see, how do I ask this? So you bring up a very valid point. Sometimes as a girlfriend, as a sister, as a mom, as a daughter, all the things, we can find ourselves dumping on people that
Who don't even have the capacity for us to dump
they
on.
don't have the capacity to dump, but because we dumped, we release, we're like, well, I release my stuff, I'm good. And I do a good job on doing that. Whenever I get asked how I'm doing, I release, I dump, I move
Girl.
on.
Mhm.
How do we, what do we do? And I know it can seem a bit much. I know at times I do this. I'm not always cognizant of it. So please, for the person that listens that knows me, they'll be like, you don't ask me that. But there are moments where I do stop and pause. One, I stop myself and say, "Ooh, I just threw all of that on you. And I didn't even ask you if you had the capacity to handle all of that.
Yeah.
My bad." Or I'll be aware and ask you as the person I'm dumping on, do you have the capacity to hear something that I got to say? I have a lot. And I want to make sure that you're in a place where you can receive what I'm
Mhm.
about to dump.
We have to, as friends, as sister chicks, sisters, whatever you want to call it, we have to be able to set boundaries even with those that we love a lot. Okay. We often think boundaries are related to the person who's getting on my nerves. No, we should have boundaries with everybody. Okay. They look different, but we should have them. For me, of course, I have several friends that are therapists. And if someone is calling me and they're wanting to say something, they've had a rough day, whatever, I will say, I don't have the capacity today. And we respect each other enough to know that means you can't dump on me today. And it's not bad,
Yeah.
but that's also me taking care of myself. That's self
Yeah.
care.
Yeah.
We as women, as daughters, as mamas, as sister chicks, as wives, we carry a lot. And a lot of us are doing things today that we've not seen done in our families. There's a weight, even with being successful, it's a
Yeah.
weight that comes with that. We got to give ourselves grace. We got to be kind to us and not expect us to always show up, always put together, always whatever this expectation we've put on ourselves. We got to just be okay. Some days you're going to see me, I ain't going to have no makeup on. But I need you to still love me. I don't want you to point the finger and say, girl, you seen Lynda? Okay? And that's okay. We have to be graceful with
Mhm.
us and with each other.
But it's hard to give grace to someone when you don't give yourself grace. I'm learning that just by
It's
myself,
true.
just on my own.
It's true.
It has been difficult at times to
Mhm.
extend a piece of grace with someone because I haven't been graceful to me.
So now we got another elephant in the room. And you have to go back to the root. The not being able to give grace is a leaf on the tree.
Mm,
It stems from somewhere. That's coming from a place. And when you deal with whatever that thing is that it grew from, then you're able to change the leaves.
mm, that's good. Lynda, you have given us so much, and I am so grateful for your wisdom, your knowledge, and your background. I would be remiss to showcase all your greatness that you are doing. So I came across on your social media platforms that you are about to start your podcast. Tell the audience more about that. I'm so excited for you.
Yes, yes. So the title of my podcast is The Elephant Room. And I really pondered, what would that be like and what did I want to make it? We oftentimes don't want to deal with the elephant because there are not safe spaces for us to deal with them.
Mm,
The elephant room really is a safe space where I get to open the door and say, come in. There are other elephants in this room. So I can't give you the side eye. And the one next to you can't give you the side eye because we all in here together.
yeah.
But if you come into the room and you bring all your elephants, I'm going to link arms with you and we're going to face this elephant together. That's the support. That's the education. That's the empowerment piece. As a therapist, I'm very aware that a lot of people will never walk into my office for therapy, but I can package education and skills that can still help you deal with the elephant in the room. And when we deal with that elephant, we experience a level of freedom and healing that we have never experienced before. And everybody gets to benefit the woman, the husband, and the children.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I'm excited. I'm excited.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
excited. I am going to tune in. I'm really excited about the work that you're doing. It's great. It's greatness. Lynda, how can people get a hold of you if they do want to book you, or they want to book you as a speaker? You also mentioned that you're an author. So, how can people get a hold of you and get in contact with you?
You can definitely reach me on all my social media platforms at Lynda Carmouche, and that's Lynda with a Y, LyndaCarmouche. I'm on all social media platforms. You can also email me at Lynda, LyndaLcsw at gmail.com, or you can go to my website, which is www.LyndaSpeaks.com.
Awesome. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Lynda,
You're
for
welcome.
this profound conversation.
Thank you for inviting me.
I am so glad that you were able to, give off your wisdom and your knowledge. So thank you so much. For those of you who are listening, you'll see us, see Bold Conversations every other Wednesday. Make sure that you're tuned in on my YouTube channel. I'm also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. So make sure that you are connected through those platforms, to stay connected and plugged in on a bold conversation. Thank y'all so much for joining me. I will see y'all next episode.